This time on Rad Rat Video, we talk about Shaun Palmer's Pro Snowboarder on Game Boy Color. Let's just do it. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, the channel where you can learn something new about skateboarding 3 times a week. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we take a look at something in the skateboarding world, and every now and then we venture a little bit outside of that into snowboarding, BMX, and other things. This time we're going to take a look at Shaun Palmer's Pro Snowboarder. This was an impulse buy. I saw this at the game store, complete with the box and the manual and all that stuff for like $2, so I figured it was worth taking a shot. At least it would look good on the shelf. But after a year of sitting there, I figured I might as well actually pop it into the Game Boy and see if it's any good. And as you might expect, it is not. But I did want to show you something kind of interesting. There's not a lot of enjoyment to be had out of this game, so you got to take what you can get. I wanted to show you Shaun White's picture in the manual. Yeah, he's like 15 years old here or something. That was kind of funny to see, knowing that he will become one of the best snowboarders ever. So it's kind of cool to see him in there. And at this point, I'm just stalling because I don't want to get into the game. But let's just do it. This is what the game looks like. It's not very exciting, but you can't expect much more. This is the Game Boy Color after all. It's got 2 buttons, no 3D capabilities, so this really isn't that bad. You steer with the up and down buttons, which generally works, but just like in 720, you actually have to turn if you want to go downhill. You'll get stuck banging against a wall like this more often than you can imagine. Right on the D-pad will make you lean forward. I guess it should make you go faster, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Back doesn't seem to do anything either. But what about tricks? How can they squeeze a decent trick system onto 2 buttons? Here's how it works. The A button is crouch and ollie, just like you would expect. If you tap it in the air, you'll spin 180. Tap it a bunch of times to get a higher spin, or hit it in combination with a direction and you'll do a grab. Left, right, and right, left will also be some kind of special trick. The beat button is for braking and also for slides. Slides are technically automatic, but they don't work a lot of the time. Hitting B in the air will make you turn sideways and then you'll lock onto the slide a little easier. You can do grinds like the wheelie and the nose 5-0. This is just lazy. I'm no snowboarding expert, but do you know who is? Shaun Palmer, Shaun White, or any of the other people in the game here. Do you really think that a board with no wheels can do a trick called a wheelie? Don't be stupid.
Basically, a nose wheelie is the same concept as a tail wheelie.
Oh, okay. I guess some people call it that, but that's not on a rail, so the point still stands. So you've got grabs, spins, and grinds. Let's get into the freestyle mode of the career and see what we've got to do. Pretty basic stuff, high score, higher score, collect some letters, and 9-ball corner pocket. Okay, let's just work on the stuff that I know how to do. So I ride through the level doing tricks and grinds and stuff. I got nowhere close to the high score. This is the first level, and I'm nowhere near the score I need. What's going on? Luckily, I have the actual game booklet, so I checked it out, and you need to build combos with manuals. Do a giant drop, land in a manual, then keep it going. The manuals aren't worth any points, but they just allow you to link something together and build your multiplier. This kind of makes some sense in theory, but it really doesn't work. You tap up down as you land, which you're probably used to from all the Tony Hawk games, but a good amount of the time, it just doesn't work. I can swear I'm doing it right, but it just doesn't happen. Also, you'll lose your manual if you run into things. Considering how small the screen is and how little you can actually see at any given moment, it's tough to avoid some of the stuff you'll run into, especially when you hit a downhill spot like I mentioned before. But the worst part is that the manual will only last a couple of seconds before your rider automatically lands it. So you can't wait it out until the next jump. You're always in a hurry to get out of that manual and jump onto something. There's very little you can do on flat, and you can't just ollie back into a manual, so you'll find yourself throwing your character at a rail that's too far away and messing up your line. Not that the grinds work very well anyway. It's pretty common to be grinding a series of rails or benches or cars or whatever, and just not locking onto one of them. You're obviously lined up right, and it should work without having to hit anything, but so often it just doesn't. And it's hard to line up stuff because of the 2D field of view you've got. If you jump, you can land on rails that you intersect with in the air, as if you're actually turning left and staying on the ground. Really weird. You've got that little shadow under you to help you figure out how to line yourself up, but it rarely helps. After a little bit of practice, I finally managed to figure out how to land some decent combos and get higher scores. I was able to get the first few levels, but this one wants 50,000 points. I don't think I've ever gotten any more than 20, and I was really putting everything into it. With only 4 levels, the difficulty ramps up fast. One of the other challenges is to collect the letters to shred. Skate letters work great in the Tony Hawk series, so why not here? Well, it's the same reason why collecting stuff always sucks in snowboarding games. As soon as you pass it, it's gone. There's no turning around and picking it up. You have to do a perfect run, and that's it. If the shred letters are pretty far down the level, it might take you a minute and a half to get there. If you miss it, you start over. That's all you can do. And since the level looks completely bland and nothing stands out, they're easy to miss, so you're guaranteed to spend at least an hour of your time getting these. So much of the game feels like it's just padding itself to waste your time. Another obvious example of that is the completion time challenge. These are usually really close. A good run might get you a second or two ahead of the time you need. That means that you can't do anything else while you're going for the time. You can't waste time doing tricks and risking a bail, or exploring to find letters and gaps. You'll spend at least a few runs trying to get that time. The last thing here is the gaps, and these can be pretty annoying, of course. It just gives you the name of the gap, which is usually pretty easy to decipher. 9-ball corner pocket. Obviously that has something to do with a pool table, but you don't really know what. I have to grind one of these tables and knock the ball in, right? Well, no. After a few attempts, I figured out that you have to grind all of them in one combo. Although because of the way the grinds work, that's easier said than done. And you don't know whether you got it or not until you reach the finish line. In this one, I had to grind 4 cars in a combo, so I hit these 3, land in manual, and hit the 4th one. No, not good enough. You have to specifically hit these 4, but it's not going to tell you that. The 3rd level wants me to ride the lift. I never figured that one out. This one seems obvious though. I have to do a 3-trick combo on a blowhole. I found a hole with a tiny whale jumping around in it. That has got to be it, right? Well, I did a 3-trick combo, finished out my run, and nothing happened. If this isn't the blowhole, why is there a whale in there? Just to mess with you? Just to purposely frustrate you and make you mad? Why would they do this? I'm assuming it's right and it just didn't register for no good reason, but I don't really know. Let's try another mode to cleanse our palates a little. Here's the super pipe, which could be fun. You get this half pipe and it goes on, and with about 15 seconds left, it will end. I get what they're going for. If you bail, you don't get more time than if you had a clean run, but the graphics make no indication that you're getting close to the end, so it really sucks when you're close to the next score limit and just stops. Of course, the whole mode sucks. The controls are the same for the most part. You hold left or right to get speed coming up to the wall. Instead of ollieing, you just air out of it to a completely random amount of height. How could they mess this up? I hold left or hold right. I either bailed the last trick or I landed perfectly clean. There's no real variation here that would explain why I get 10 feet this time, then I don't even make it to the lip the next time. But I think I figured out why. This mode is just too boring. All you use is the A button. Try to do a couple of tricks in the same air and that's it. No manuals or grinds or anything. If you got the same amount of air every time, then you'd get really bored. So, in a fun way to mix it up, they took out the predictability and the control that you have and make it so you have to react to what the random number generator cooked up for you. It's infuriating. I don't think I did better than a silver in any of these events just because of how frustrating it is. And they're long, so each attempt will really add up. The last mode is the race. These are weird. Yes, you can lean forward and backward, but that doesn't really seem to do anything. If you can stay on the course, turning in the right spots, and you can avoid all the random crap in the level, you'll probably win, but you never really know how you're doing until you cross the finish line because you won't be close enough to anyone else to see them. After I beat pretty much every challenge, I unlocked my first new board, which doubled or tripled my stats, but there wasn't that much left to do. There's this last level with the insane score total I'm supposed to reach, but having a better board that spins faster really isn't that much help, and going faster probably makes it harder. You just can't react on time to the stuff that flies at you without memorizing the whole level, and I'm not going to do that. After you complete a few challenges, you might want to save your game and come back later. It's a portable game system with a career mode that you can't beat in one sitting, so of course you can save your game, right? Well, no, not really. This game has a password system. And for those of you who might not remember that, I will describe how that works. For most games where you had to save it, like Final Fantasy or Zelda or anything like that on a cartridge, it would have a little battery, and that battery would keep part of the cartridge awake to remember what you were doing, basically. And that worked really, really well. They last about 20 years. If you still have your original Pokemon Red cartridge from back in the day, there's a decent chance that it still works. But if the publisher wanted to really cheap out, they would give you a password. And so what it is they're outsourcing the saving to your hand and some paper, or in my case, taking a picture of the screen with my phone. But for a lot of games, it was really simple. It was what stage you're on, how many lives you have, That's basically it. So the password could be really short. But look at this one. It is not short at all because you have to keep track of what levels you have unlocked, what events you finished, what boards you have unlocked, which one you have equipped, what character you've used, and all that kind of stuff. So this password is just ridiculously out of control. That may seem like a really small thing, but this game is frustrating enough as it is. After a while, you're going to want to take a break, but every time you pick the game back up, you feel like you're being punished for it. What else can you do in this game? Well, there's a versus mode, but it requires a link cable and a person you hate, so I didn't get a chance to try that out. There's also a free ride mode, where you can just do the same stuff without getting any credit for it. I tried out the super pipe here, and it's literally the same thing. Except I think I got enough points for a gold finally, but it just didn't matter. I somehow did a 7-trick combo in one air. I realized that I get more air on the right side of the ramp. I tried turning around in the flat bottom in case that made any difference, but it didn't. Oh well. I went as far as I could in the career mode. This last level is really hard and really annoying. Every time you restart it, it shows you this self-indulgent cutscene of the level to show it off. It's literally the same stuff as every other level, except there are caves now that you have to go through. You crash into a wall, lose your combo, and then steer up into them. I wouldn't be bragging about this design too much. So that's Shaun Palmer's Pro Snowboarder on the Game Boy Color. I don't know what you expected, or what I expected, because I'm the one who actually bought it. But there's no reason to go back and play this 16-year-old game at this point. There is nothing to offer in this one. I thought it'd be cool just to have all of the Activision 02 series all lined up on my shelf, but by the time you see this, this probably sold on eBay for a penny, and I'll be happy to get rid of it. You know, even if you see this, sealed, perfect condition, brand new looking for 4 cents, don't even bother. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing anybody any good by playing this game. So just leave it and let it fade away into history. Leave playing terrible skateboarding, snowboarding, etc. type of games to me. I'll take care of it, and I will suffer through that for you. So that's all for now. Here are some more videos that YouTube recommends that you might want to check out. I do a lot of other game reviews and lots of other skateboarding topics in general. Tap my logo in the middle of the screen to subscribe, and check out my website radratvideo.com to see what I've got going on over there as well. Thank you for watching.